It can be so frustrating trying to learn a skill and not being able to really see what's going on. So I wanted to make this whole video today about the close-ups. Here are the top 10 close-ups you guys have been asking for when trying to learn eyelash extensions. So the first technique close-up you guys have been asking for is how to apply those under-eye gel patches. A common problem is that the gel pad's moving while you're working and your lashes getting stuck together, or them being too close and kind of in the client's eye. So I want to show you a close-up of exactly how to place those gel pads so you don't need to use the medical tape, so your client is comfortable and so that you can work safely without those lashes sticking together. So here's that close-up now. Okay, so now we're going to put on our gel pads. And what I love about these gel pads is that they are just the right amount of anti-aging. They're not too wet, so they're not going to get in the client's eye and they're not going to slip around. I prefer to use these alone without the medical tape because they're just more comfortable coming on and off. And you'll notice there's no lint or fibers on here that would get stuck to our adhesive. You want to be really careful which gel pads you choose because anything linty will cause issues. So we're going to peel the backing off our gel pad. The first thing we're going to do is have our client look back towards us. So Nellie, go ahead and look up towards me. And then I'm going to use my pinky to gently just pull down the eye. We don't want to open the eye up, but we just want to flatten those lower lashes a little. And I'm lining up the inner corner of the gel pad with the inner corner of the eye and then winging it outward. You'll notice the gel pad isn't really centered under the eye. It's more winging outward, which will give a more comfortable and accurate fit. The goal here is to completely cover those lower lashes so they don't get glued to the top lashes while you're working. The number 2 close-up you guys are asking for is how to make those volume fans. It can be so frustrating when you're watching someone and you really can't see that detail. So I want to show exactly how to fan your volume fans to get a fluffy, even look that's accurate and customizable every single application. So this close-up is going to show you exactly how to make those volume fans. Okay guys, so let me show you the detail of what it looks like to create a fan. So what I'm doing, I'm holding my volume tweezers in kind of this check mark position, and I'm going to, with the tip of them, lift up about how many hairs I want on my fan. So if I want 5D or 3D, that's about how many hairs I want to grab, and I'm gently lifting them off the sticky tape. What that does is it allows them to kind of separate when I drop them and lets me kind of pivot them around. So the first step is to gently pull it almost all the way off the sticky stuff and then just let go. Then I'm going to take the tip of my tweezer and just slightly rotate the base of the fan without pressing it back into the sticky stuff. I like to think of this as like if you have a deck of cards and you kind of fan them out. That's what I'm doing with the tip of my tool. It's a really small movement. So just a really small little pivot to get your fan. And what we want to achieve here is equal distance between each branch of this fan, so when we apply it, there's no gaps on the lash line. Once I have the perfect fan, we're going to pick it up. And we're going to do that by sliding one side of the tweezer behind the fan, but in front of these extra lashes, because we don't want to grab those. We want our fan to sit in the middle of the tweezer, and we want to clamp down. So my tweezer is in the check mark position. My back of my tweezer is sliding behind the fan I want, but in front of the lashes I don't want. And then I'm clamping down and I'm in the middle of that fan. I'm going to clamp pretty hard so that those little branches of the fan don't move. And then to lift it off, the motion is straight down, straight up like a trampoline. You want to do that kind of gentle so that the ends of the fan don't splay out. And this is where most people kind of either let go of their fingers or they pull off forward or back and they lose their V. So I'm holding it pretty tight and I'm gently lifting it down up. I will then grab my adhesive and I can apply it. Close-up number 3 you guys have been asking for is how do I isolate? You're trying to isolate, you're frustrated, you can't really see exactly what's going on. So close-up number 3 is going to be how to isolate to get just one hair alone. You'll see in the video that if there's any kind of little hairs crossing over the hair you're trying to apply to, it's going to get in your way. So it's imperative when you're doing your isolation, it's just one hair alone and none of those little natural hairs are sticking or crossing over to get a really good application. So here's that close-up. So isolating the lashes is one of the most important things you do when doing any lash extensions, and it's probably one of the hardest things to learn. Because what we're doing is we're using our non-dominant hand to isolate each and every hair to ensure that the lashes don't stick together. In order for lash extensions to be healthy and safe, we want to make sure that each and every hair is free to grow and not sticking to any of the neighboring hairs. So you can choose which tweezer. I like these hook tweezers because it allows me to keep my wrists straight, and after hours of working I won't get wrist pain. If you prefer the angle of the straight or curved tweezers, that would be fine too. So it's whatever you guys feel comfortable with. So what we're doing here is we're getting one hair alone, and you can do it by kind of going down next to the lash and then opening up. You can do it by pulling to the side, or you can start at the tip of the hair and just kind of sliding down the hair, opening as you slide. The most important thing is just that that hair is alone. So kind of you have to analyze in your head each and every situation and decide what is the best way to get that hair all by itself. And the biggest mistake students make is that there's little crossovers at the base, and then when you go to apply your classic lash, that crossover at the base is going to prevent you from getting a really good application. So you can see if you do this and there's one kind of crossing over, it would be in the way. So you really want to make sure from root to tip that there's no hairs crossing over your isolated extension hair. Close-up number 4, what is binding? Everyone's talking about binding, what the heck is it? Let me show you guys close up what we do to smooth out the adhesive on the extension to make sure you get a nice fluid bond and there's no clumping and none of those natural lashes sticking to the new lash you just applied. So here's a close-up on binding and what it's all about. So what binding the hair is, guys, is it's basically after you apply the extension, using your 2 tools to smooth out the adhesive so you have a nice clean bond that doesn't look clumpy and it doesn't have excess adhesive that might stick to the hairs next door. So it's basically your chance to take the 2 tweezers and run it alongside the natural hair with the extension on it to smooth everything out and also keep that hair isolated. So now when I move to this side, it gives that hair a little extra time to dry or set so it doesn't stick to the neighboring hairs after you do the application. So what that all looks like is you'll apply the hair, and then without letting go of your isolation, I slide my tweezer to hold the natural hairs to the side, and then with the other tweezer go on the other side, and I smooth out that hair and that extension without letting any little hair stick to it, any little natural hair stick to my glue. Close-up number 5 is banana peeling classic lashes. What a banana peel is basically you're holding the natural hair with your tweezer and peeling off the extension with your other hand. So I'm going to show you guys a little drawing and then we're going to show you the close-up of what a banana peel actually is. So here's my trusty whiteboard. So when you're banana peeling, you've got your natural hair with your extension. Try to draw this with my left hand, even though I'm right-handed. There's your extension. We need to grab the natural hair with the first tweezer and peel off from the base up with the second tweezer. This tweezer that's holding the natural hair is preventing any tension from pulling on the eyelid. So it's really important you have a very good grip and you can clearly see, and you're holding just that one natural hair. No other hair should be in that tweezer. And I'm going to show you the close-up now of what that banana peel looks like. Okay guys, I want to show you how to do a banana peel for classic lashes. And what we're doing with the banana peel is we're basically holding the natural lash taut in the tweezer so there's no tension on it. And then we're grabbing the extension by the base and peeling it off without putting any tension on the natural hair. So basically you're going to always banana peel when your client comes in for a fill. The only time we use the remover is if we're removing all of the extensions. If you just want to take 1 or 2 lashes off or even half the lashes off, you're going to want to do the banana peel method so that we're not getting remover on all the lashes. So you could either do this on a lash that already has a base that's broken, meaning the base is loose, or if your hair is on there well but you still want to take it off, you'll have to do the first step, which is called breaking the base. So let's say I decided I wanted to take this hair off, or this extension off. The first thing we're going to do is break the base by kind of bending that extension over the natural hair to create a space. So now I have a space between the extension and the natural hair. I'm going to use my straight tweezers to hold that natural hair so there's no tension at all. And then I'm going to use my other hand to grab just the end of the extension, and I'm going to peel it off without creating any pull on her natural hair. You want to really make sure you have a great grip with your left hand on that natural hair so the client feels nothing. Close-up number 6 is also banana peeling, but this is how to banana peel a volume fan. So I'll draw again. Here is your fan coming off the eyelid. In order to banana peel this, you are going to hold most of the fan with one tweezer and gently peel each prong of your fan off with the other tweezer, always moving towards the eyelid so there's no pull or tension on the eyelid. And we're going to do that branch by branch until the whole fan just pops off. Here's that close-up. Okay guys, so when we want to banana peel a volume fan, it's a little different than with the classic lashes. Remember with the classic lash banana peel, we're gripping the natural hair and then pulling the extension away. With the volume fan, you have your fan kind of in a V, and we're going to actually pull the branches of the fan down towards the lid so there's no tension, and those little pieces of hair just kind of fall off, or the pieces of extensions just fall off the fan, and then the fan pops off. So what that looks like is you're going to grab your fan, see one we want to take off. We'll take this off so you guys can see well. So if this is your fan and you wanted to banana peel it off, you're going to just grab the two sides of the fan and gently pull towards the skin so there's no tension on the client. Of course, this one's on there really well. There we go. So once you start getting the little branches of the fan off, it should just pop off, which it did. And notice there's no natural hair attached, which is obviously the goal. We don't want to damage or pull on the natural lash at all. So, close-up number 7. This is how to actually apply the classic lash to the natural lash so you get a perfect bond that magnets. And what is that magneting? So what you're doing is you're picking up at a 90-degree angle, you're loading the lash with adhesive, you're swiping the natural hair with that extension, and then you're kind of sliding it back and forth until you feel it grab. It's really important that your extension and your natural hair are on the same plane so they grab. If you're coming in at a slightly different angle than the natural hair, your extension's gonna miss and you're not gonna get that great connection. And if you're bonding just the belly of your extension and the base has a lift, you're gonna feel that poke. What I mean by that is, I'll draw again. If here's the natural lash, you wanna make sure you angle your extension so that the base and the natural lash meet. What you don't want is a natural lash with an extension that's just bonded in the middle, because if this is the eyelid, that little loose piece is gonna poke or feel uncomfortable or pop off. So it's really important you get that angle right with your application. Here's a close-up of that. Okay guys, so we're ready to apply. So you'll notice I have my lash at 90-degree angle and my lash is loaded with adhesive. I'm going to isolate a hair. If I have too much adhesive, I'll just tap it here. And then you want to swipe the entire natural hair with adhesive, because what will happen is the adhesive will magnet to the adhesive. So what you're doing is you're getting a little bit of a magnet connection between the extension and the natural hair. And where I'm focusing when I'm looking is at the base of the extension. We want to make sure that lines up with the natural hair. The rest we can kind of lift up and bind. But if your base isn't on there good, it's gonna poke or pop off. So I've loaded my lash. We're gonna isolate one hair, apply adhesive to the entire natural hair, and then do a little shimmy so that it magnets. That extension needs to magnet to the natural hair. Typically when I'm applying, what I'll do is I'll go back and forth. What that allows me to do is keep the look even and symmetrical, and then if the client ever had to get up for an emergency or leave early, she'll be even. So if you do mess up, you want to make sure you go back to that same hair you've already isolated so that it doesn't just get left with adhesive on it and then stick to the natural hairs near it. So you want to go right back to that same hair. Again, I'm going to swipe the natural hair with adhesive, place the extension on top, and I do a little bit of a shimmy movement so it magnets, and we get a really good bond. Close-up number 8 is making sure you're picking up that lash at the right angle. When you're performing classic lashes, it's really important you pick up exactly the same way every time, because if your extension is in the tweezer at the wrong angle, you're either going to have to do weird things with your wrist, which could cause pain over time, or your lashes are going to look wicky-wacky when they're all on there. They're not going to all be going the same direction. So the number one thing we need to learn when we first start doing lashes is to make sure we're always picking up at a 90-degree angle extension to the tool. So you want to do that every time so your lashes are consistent. No matter where you move your hand, your lash will be in the right position. So here's that close-up number 8. Okay guys, so I'm going to show you a close-up of picking up the lash. So remember, we want to come in 90 degrees to the hair, and then you're going to pull it off directly to the side so that you get a 90-degree angle. Can you guys see that? You want a 90-degree from the lash to the tweezer, and you want to be holding it near the tip of the lash so that you can submerge almost the entire lash into your adhesive. So I'll do that a few times. So we're going to grab it at 90 degrees, pull it off to the side, and then it should look like a right angle to your tweezer and lash. And what that does is it allows you to work on either eye and always have precision with your placement, so your lashes aren't going in all different directions. So really taking your time to make sure you pick up each and every time at this perfect 90-degree angle is going to ensure that all your lashes, when you apply them, are perfectly in position, so you don't have to do weird things with your wrist or your hand. So again, 90 degrees, pull to the side. These tweezers are made to only grab one hair, so you don't have to really worry about just choosing one hair. You'll notice I just kind of go in, grab, pull to the side. If it's a little bit off your 90-degree angle, you can tap it and reposition it so you're in the right position. But you always want to make sure you get that perfect 90-degree before you move on to getting the adhesive. So take your time on this step and make sure it's perfect every time. So I saved the best for last. Number 9 and number 10 is exactly how much adhesive to use. So close-up number 9 is how much adhesive should I be using with a classic set of lash extensions. I really want you guys to take a look at this because the number one issue we see is people using too much adhesive. The type of adhesive we use for lash extensions is a cyanoacrylate based. These adhesives work best in a thin, flexible application. Using less is actually stronger and it's going to last better and move with the natural hair so you're not causing damage and you get better retention. When you use too much adhesive, what happens is you get a stiff, brittle bond that's more apt to cause damage or breakage and feel uncomfortable to the client. So it's really important we don't use too much adhesive here. Here's that close-up. Hey guys, let's talk adhesive. First of all, when you shake your adhesive, you don't need to go crazy. A little side-to-side action is all you need. And then 1 drop of this adhesive is going to do a full set. So your drop should look like that. And you want to make sure it has a dome on it while you're working. So the adhesive should come up in a little bit of a dome shape so that you can get the adhesive through the, so you can get the lash through the adhesive surrounding that lash extension with product. So let me show you how loading the lash looks. We have our dot of glue. We're going to pick up our lash. We are going to shimmy it through that dome and pull it back out, and you should be left with a few little dots of adhesive on the lash. And that's just the right amount to swipe the hair, place it, and go. So again, I'm going to go through the adhesive so the whole lash has adhesive on it and you have those 3 little dots. And then I'm going to swipe my natural hair and place it. The number one question you guys always call about is how much adhesives to use for your volume lashes. Or we'll hear that the adhesive not drying or the fans are collapsing. The reason is people are using too much adhesive. When you switch, especially when you switch from another brand to our adhesive, which is really thin, people have a tendency to try to scoop up too much adhesive. So it's really important when you make your fan, the fan goes straight down, straight up. It's just a little tiny dot at the base of your fan, and you're gonna hold it on the lash. 1, 2. When you let go, your fan should stay spaced and be dried instantly. If it's collapsing or slipping off the hair, that means you're using too much adhesive. Here's that close-up. So guys, from this angle, you'll be able to hopefully see I've got my fan. I'm gonna go straight down into the adhesive and straight out with the bottom of the fan. I'm not laying the fan down into the adhesive, I'm just sticking the very end of it straight down and straight up. What that does is it prevents me from wicking up too much product and getting more of a Y. So if you can see, it's really just at the very base of this V, I have a little dot of adhesive. And if you use too much, what will happen is your fan will collapse or it won't dry on the hair, the natural hair, quick enough. Thanks, Lash Pros. I so appreciate you joining our channel. I hope these close-up tips really help take your lash game to the next level. If you have questions, comments, or things you want to see, please put them below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.